Hello, my name is Brittany Burgett, and this is my presentation on Tor and the dark side of the web. So first we're going to start off with what is Tor. So Tor is an acronym that stands for the Onion Router. It's a nonprofit organization that works to provide anonymity on the internet. The project has led to software that can be downloaded by individuals and works to stop anyone from learning your location or IP address or your browsing habits. It can also be used to access the dark or deep web through .onion sites instead of .com or .net. So a little bit of history of Tor. The idea of it was actually created by the US Navy in 2002. The original purpose was to protect people from corporations. So, this is a quote from one of the founders. We were increasingly concerned about all these websites. Everyone was offering free services, and by free, they meant we take all your information and sell it as many times as possible. We wanted a way to, one, put some of our research into practice and see how it would work, and two, we wanted to give the control over your information to you, the user, not to have all these companies take it by default, and let you take decisions about, do you trust Google, do you trust Amazon, or do you trust BBC, whatever. So now that we've described what Tor is, we're going to talk about who uses Tor. So everyday people concerned about their internet safety, military professionals, activists, and journalists in countries with high censorship, but also journalists here in the US or any other country without high censorship that needs to research a topic that they don't want others to see. IT professionals, law enforcement, and of course, people who want access to the dark web. So I've talked a lot about what the dark web is, and so now I'm going to explain that a little bit. So the two terms, the dark web and the deep web, they're used interchangeably, and when you research it, it gets a little confusing, but there is a difference of levels um, between the deep and dark web. So I'm going to describe it as the deep web, and then underneath that uh, is the dark web. So the deep web are places on the internet that basic search engines can't reach. These are places that you can't just Google or you can't search Yahoo for. And then also search boxes on websites, such as if you were, one of the examples they gave was if you were on hotels.com and you wanted to search on that website, that would be kind of a deep web, um, as well as other companies who store your data so that other people can't reach it, so they can't just Google your information, such as banking websites. So the dark web is probably one that you are more familiar with. It's what I like to think of as the scary part of the internet. It's a collection of thousands of websites that hides the IP addresses of the people that run them. So these are um, your drug sale websites, your murder for hire websites, your arms dealers websites. They need to have software like Tor. It doesn't have to be specifically Tor because there are other software that act just like Tor does, but it's not Tor. So you need these kinds of software in order to even access these websites. And again, they hide your IP address and your information. So you don't know who they are and they don't know who you are. And that's how the dark web works. So to explain this a little bit easier, I found this visual that I really liked. So the top portion where it says the surface web, those are all things that you can find with a quick Google search. They're not very hard to access. And then underneath that, there is the deep web. So like I was talking about, the Bank of America, Netflix. So you can still find them, but the information that they have, they don't share with everyone else. And then you have the deep web. So one of these websites on the left corner is called the Silk Road. It was a big website that you could buy drugs on, you could solicit assassins, all of those dark, scary things. But it got shut down by the government several years ago. So that's just an example of the surface web, the deep web, and then the dark web. So with the invention of the dark web, there is now the problem of how to police the dark web. So it's difficult to find criminals using Tor, but it's not impossible. One of the sources that I looked up said that while it's difficult because everyone is anonymous, they're still people and they still make mistakes because they're humans. So it's not impossible to catch these criminals. Another um, positive, actually, that Tor and the dark web has brought about is it forces international cooperation because with the internet, you can access the entire globe. So it's not just being a criminal in the United States, but it's being a criminal in Europe and in Russia. And so it really forces the international cooperation of law enforcement and agencies. And then it also has changed the way that police agencies look at crime. Now, a lot of agencies actually have a cyber crimes division. So it's interesting to see that as the internet changes, that policing the internet and the dark web especially has changed over time as well. And so final thoughts. So what really what I learned through this presentation is we like to be anonymous and we don't like the government to control us, but at the same time, if we don't have at least a little bit of government control, then you have criminals getting away with actually murder if they wanted to on the dark web. So it's just a question of what is that balance of anonymity and government control? Like, where do we find that balance in there? So that's something to think about moving forward. And then these are a list of my references. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned as much as I did through this presentation.